Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be finding values of arccosine. If you want to follow along, the links to the companion worksheet are in the description below. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to see more videos like this. So let's get started. Now, if you saw in the previous video, we were finding values of arcsine, and in that video we only saw the right half of the unit circle. And that's because with arcsine, the range was from -90 to 90. Those are the only answers that arcsine will give us. But now that we're dealing with arccosine, it has a slightly different range. And that is from 0 to 180 degrees. So we only look at the top half of the unit circle here. So if we want to find the value of arccosine of -1/2, we're asking where in here, the top half, is cosine -1/2, and that's x values. So if we look, it's right there. So here that angle is 120 degrees. Now just like with arcsine, we can write it as arccosine, or we can write it as cosine with a little -1, and we say cosine inverse, and that's how we say that. But it's still doing the same thing. Here's our ratio. What's the angle? So I want to look for where cosine, the x value, is negative radical 2/2, and that's right here. And so that's going to give me an angle of 45 degrees. And then the third one down here asks, we want the value of arccosine of -1. And so we're asking, where is the x value -1? Let's take a look. That's going to happen right there. And so our angle is 180 degrees. So now looking at the second page, here we want to find the value of arccosine of 0.5, of cosine of 0. So we look here and we say, all right, when is cosine? Well, wait a minute. That's not cosine inverse, that's cosine. So it's asking, what is cosine at this angle? This isn't a ratio, this is an angle. So, at 0, cosine has a value of 1. Let's see, times 0.5. And then cosine inverse. So we multiply 0.5 by 1, and so that is just 0.5. And so now we ask, when is cosine 1/2, or 0.5? So looking at our unit circle, we see that cosine has a value of 1/2 at 60 degrees. And then finally, for this last one, this one's a little bit trickier, but I think we can do it. First, we want to know when is cosine negative radical 2/2. And so that gives us an angle of 3 pi over 4. And then I'll just copy everything else down, because we're not changing anything else yet. And so now we can subtract those two angles. Now, one thing I like to do when we have operations involving pi is, if everything has pi, just forget that it's there. Just think of this as 3/4 minus 1/2. And what's there? Well, 1/4. All right, put the pi back. There it is, pi over 4. And then finally, we want to know what is cosine of the angle pi over 4. So looking back at our unit circle, we get a square root of 2 over 2. Hope this helps, everyone. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have suggestions or other problems you want to see worked out, type a comment below. To support the channel, click the Patreon link to help keep this going. Thanks so much for watching. And remember that the best way to understand something is to do it.